Hey guys, welcome to a brand new series we're hosting here on the East Coast Rams podcast channel. This is going to be East Coast Fantasy. I'm here with my guy Will. We love fantasy, we love talking about it, and we just wanted to kind of give that love and passion out there into the world. And so we're doing our first episode. How are you doing, Will?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. I love talking about fantasy, so excited to be here. Excited to talk fantasy.
Yeah, and we got our league actual fantasy draft up here incoming. Just want to do that draft order there in it's going to be dynasty. First off, Will, what's your preference between dynasty, redraft, and like what's kind of the jive you get with both, with kind of like how you like to be positioned in these drafts?
So it's funny. I've been playing fantasy football probably since I was in middle school. So I mean, I've been playing for a long time, and I've always played redraft. Recently, in my main redraft home league, we switched to keeper, and then last year we launched a dynasty league, which was my first dynasty league, and just I'm to the point in my fantasy playing career that I really just want to focus on dynasty. It's a different ball game, and there's so much more work that goes in it. But being able to have the same players, and you really have to work on constructing the team and not being too old, not being too young. You got to find that right balance. It's just a lot more fun for me.
Yeah, it's a lot more strategic. You got to, like, you either have to go rebuild or you can try to load up for winning a championship that season. And I feel like with this league, we have a lot of smart people in here, so it's going to be a very competitive league, and it's going to be interesting to see what positions people get and what strategies off of those positions people go. So first off, I'm gonna pull up the wheel here. We have every person. This is off of your account name in the league. So we're gonna spin who's gonna go, and then they're gonna spin for their position. That's kind of how that's gonna work. And I'm gonna write it down, and we'll keep on moving from there. So first off, Will, when we spin this first person, what's your absolute like you hate that position the most? So what's the one that if your name gets pulled, you don't want to get?
I used to hate for redraft. I used to hate being 10th. I used to hate being in the middle. Always like the 1 kind of through 4 spots. But recently, I've learned that as long as you're strategic in what you do, it doesn't matter where you're at. Because if you're on the end, you're going to get it on the turn. But if you're in the middle, I mean, there's still value in there, really. So.
Okay, so our first contestant is I am the best. This is a old coworker of mine, Dan. Awesome guy. We'll kind of see what he gets. Now he has his pick of the litter, and he got eighth. And to be honest, Will, I feel like eighth, while you miss out on the top 4 guys, it's a very balanced position to be at dynasty wise, because you can get some good value in the first 4 rounds age wise if you go that direction.
Yeah, I think right at 8. I was mocking yesterday. I want to say Puka is going around 8. And then, of course, right at the turn, 8, 9, 10, you've got guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So if you want to go ahead and reach on a quarterback and secure one of the top tier talents, you kind of have that positional advantage over everybody else.
And I believe, is this you?
No, that's my buddy Jake.
Oh, okay, Jake. All right. So 8 is gone. I would say that's like it's not desirable, but 8 is better in my opinion than 5 or 6. 4, 5, and 6 are like the places that I feel like you can get in kind of like a purgatory each round, because you do have like 10 spots between each pick. So it's kind of hard to see what everyone else is going to do versus 8, where you only have like 4 spots between a pick and then like 18, something like that. So let's see what your buddy gets here. and he's gonna 9. Our back end of the draft is already kind of getting thin there. What's your thoughts about 9? Like, is 9 better than 8, or does it not matter?
It gets you closer to the turn. I mean, I don't know that makes that much of a difference, but you're closer to the turn. And I'll be really interested to see kind of how the draft falls. Especially being on the turn, you can really go get the guy that you really want. You have to reach a little bit if you're near the turn, but it's worth it to get your guys. You know what I mean? The guys that you really believe are going to dominate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That turn in, I feel like Dynasty is a little bit less predictable than it is in redraft. In redraft, like, you do lose a lot of capital on age, where in Dynasty you do get like guys going 2 or 3 rounds earlier than in redraft just because of their age. Okay, 55 TDs, 55 waivers. That's a lovely name there. We'll see if it holds. Huh?
Yeah, I was cracking up when I saw him change that to that name.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, we'll see if the wheel stays with the late round kind of capital right here. And it does. That is, guys, that's a little rough for those two. I feel like Kevin is getting in that middle tier range. So right now we have 1 through 6 left and 10. So I'm still riding as we do this. So there goes 7. All right. I hope you guys are kind of happy with your position so far if you've been pulled. If you haven't, then your turn is coming up. 2024 Lenoris. Will, I have a feeling this guy has a target in next year's rookie draft.
Correct. Yes, he's going to be one of my main guys. I'm hoping he can develop a little bit better as a passer.
Yeah, I'm personally also hoping the Rams, one of 2 teams that have 2 first-round picks next year, goes for Sellers. He had a really good year last year, and I feel like he's going to be a really good asset for whatever team gets him.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we'll see what Sellers gets in this dynasty.
Give me one.
Oh, 4.
I'll take it.
4. Hey, that's not bad. That's not terrible. Now, I feel like 4 is one of those positions, and tell me, Will, like, if you disagree with this, you get some decisions made up for you, right? Ahead of you, especially in the first 2 rounds. And then you can kind of orient your team whatever direction people go in.
Yeah, I was planning on, like when I did a mock, I was sitting around pick 7, just because I felt like if I could get in the middle, at least in the middle, I could go get the guy that I wanted the first round. So with 4, I can definitely, there's some choice on the board, for some of the guys that I want early.
There is true. I would say, like, that's going to, when you start having that, I believe, a running back run happen, especially the high talent guys.
Yeah.
Turkish snow cones. I love this name. That's a good name. This guy was pushing really heavily for Superflex, which I didn't check, but our league was very split on, and I do not think it passed.
Yeah,
yet.
I was thinking of the meme from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends when he was putting the pull back up for Superflex?
Oh my gosh, 5. Wow, we still have 1 and 10. I did not think 1 or 10 would be on the board this late. So snow cones gets 5. We have 1, 2, and 3, and 10 left, right? I think 6 is still there also. Yeah. So if you have already got your position, Will, like, for the remaining ones, what would you want? Like if you were still on the board.
If I can pull this up here, I'm curious to see for Dynasty what the ADP is looking like. But I would think at this point, I mean, one wouldn't be terrible. I mean, just because you can go get, you have a choice of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine Justin Jefferson or Jamar, or like.
It's Jamar.
Yeah. Too. Like, I feel bad for people who took CMC. I don't think in Dynasty is going as high as 101 last year, but like in redraft, that was a brutal 101 to take. Really was. Let's see. And commercial free goes and gets 10. That's my favorite pick of the draft, Will, is to be at 10. I love kind of like letting people make decisions for me and being able the back-to-back picks I feel like is underrated. Being able to not worry about like, do I take someone, does he not get taken between my next pick? Like, it kind of does force you to have consistency with those two picks.
Yeah, commercial free is going to be looking at, I mean, depending on how they fall, but potentially Gibbs, Nico, Malik, Drake London, Brian Thomas, AJ Brown. You know, you've got some young and older receivers that are still in that top tier.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that's like something to go after at 10 is like some of those older guys that fall?
I think if Nico Collins is there, I'm a huge AJ Brown fan. I've watched AJ Brown since he was in Tennessee in 2019 with Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. AJ Brown just has a knack for getting banged up, it seems.
Yeah.
I love me some AJ Brown.
Yeah, and I believe this is my brother-in-law, Andy. So let's see what Andy gets. He has good options, Wood 2 and 3. And then 6, I feel like, is that one that no one's going to want actively. Still not terrible, but I would say 5 is the worst pick, in my opinion. We'll see what he gets. And he gets 1. That is really good for him. He got close to getting 6, so 2, 3, and 6 are left.
I can imagine your brother-in-law's going for Jamar Chase. I mean, that just Jamar is dynasty receiver 1. So in my opinion,
he is going to be good for a long time. So 1, okay. I am still on the board. Maddie is still on the board. Maddie, yes. And Houday, my father-in-law. So we'll see. Let me remove Andy. Okay. My turn to step up the podium and see.
Getting cooked.
Yeah. Okay. 6, 2, and 3. And I am at 2. Very interesting. I'm going to be honest, Will, this is the highest I've ever been in a draft.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The highest before this was, I believe I got 5 in a 12-person draft. So,
okay.
Unusual position for me. And I'll put me at 2. Okay.
You definitely have a shot at, obviously, Saquon, and I know Saquon get up there, but for redraft, Saquon probably, he's probably RB1. Don't know if you want to go, just given his age, you know, he's kind of getting out of that, I guess the peak value, you know, or whatever, what do you want to say, the peak of dynasty. I mean, eventually, I think sooner rather than later, Saquon's going to start to fall off, and you know, with running backs, they've got such a short shelf life that they tend to fall off faster. than other sort of quarterbacks and receivers and tight ends.
Yeah.
So, you got to make a decision. Do you want to go Saquon and get a season or two of just pure dominance, or do you want to try to get, someone like Bijan or John Jameer Gibbs? I think it's like sleeper ADP right now has him at 7. So I guess you've got some decisions definitely to make. And of course, Jay Jets is at 3.
Yeah. Running back has been a weird position just because of some of the last 2 years, these older running backs going to contenders, like what you see with Derrick Henry and the Ravens, and you've seen a little bit more juice out of these running backs than we're used to seeing, especially in Dynasty and in redraft. So, like, do you take that waiver for a good 2 or 3 years with Barkley, or do you go younger with someone like Bijan who potentially could be more successful for a longer period of time? That's a big critical question up in the early and mid part of these drafts, and depending on what people do, especially if you're 5, 6, or 7, kind of determines the rest of the draft.
Well, here's the other thing you got to think about too. When you're looking at these initial rounds, and I don't know sleeper ADP for rookies, outside of Ashton and Amari and Hampton. But there's the heavy running back draft we have. There's a lot of running backs that are not going to go in the top probably 10, 20 picks that have a path to fantasy relevance. And I think Quinshon Judkins, Trayvon Henderson. I mean, even R.J. Harvey. You got these guys that are going to probably come in and produce pretty soon, and you're going to get some good value out of that, and you're not spending necessarily a first-round pick or second-round pick for that matter.
Yep. And do that. And now I'm doing it manually. But, so we got our order for this league, and are you happy with am I 2 or 3? I can't remember. I think I'm 2. And Maddie S, I think last year was her first year in not Dynasty. It was a redraft league, and she did incredibly well. So it's going to be interesting to see how a league full of really people I respect, their kind of fantasy opinions, like how competitive it is and how close. Because I did have a league last year that was incredibly close, coming down to the wire, and we had 9 out of 10 people eligible playoff wise before the last 2 weeks. Which number does 4 sellers? So, Will, with 10 minutes before the draft, what exactly, your spot, what's your, direction you're going to go? Are you going to be more reactive, or are you going to be more proactive with, reaching for guys? Are you someone who thinks, you don't reach on people, or you go for the person you want?
So normally before draft, I've probably done about 100 mocks before. I usually do most of my drafts. Just because I like to have a solid plan in place. For this league, I'm going to kind of approach it a little differently, though. I think my goal personally is just to go young, and go get my guys. Just having a rookie draft for my main dynasty league last weekend. There's certain guys that I just want. I think they're fun to watch. So there'll probably be some reaching. I'm going to probably punt some positions, especially if we keep in kickers and defense. That both those will get punted. I'll just roll the dice on those. But the biggest decision I'm looking at is, do I want to grab Jameer Gibbs? Because Jameer Gibbs 2 years ago did get me a redraft championship. So it's I'm trying to decide if I want to see if I can rekindle that magic again with him.
Yeah. And right now we're going to be drafting here in 8 minutes. I definitely get like Gibbs at the 1-2 turn. I feel like because of his age, even taking him at 4, 5, or 6 is like still a valid pick right there because he has been really good, even with Montgomery in the lineup.
Yeah, and I think with Jahmyr Gibbs too, I believe at least until Janty starts, until we get to the season and Janty starts playing, Gibbs, in my opinion, is probably RB1 in Dynasty. He probably has that edge over someone like Derrick Henry, over CMC, over Saquon, just because of his age. And even the split backfield with Dave Montgomery, he still produces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Ashton Genty is going to be an interesting one just because of how bad that Raiders line is. And, like, can he succeed with the volume? Because the Raiders don't have a lot of offensive options. I know they drafted a guy I'm really high on in Jack Beck. And they have, Jacoby Myers, who, was serviceable in fantasy. But, he didn't have anyone to throw to. And I feel like Geno Smith is a solid thrower of the ball. He's not great, but he can get production out of people. And we saw that with JSN and DK.
Yeah, and they actually picked up. I'll be interested to see how well Geno or how long Geno is a quarterback because they drafted another quarterback out of North Dakota State, which I know North Dakota State quarterbacks haven't had the best track history.
Yeah.
I mean, you had one good season, I guess, or 2 good seasons out of Carson Wentz before he fell apart.
Yeah,
Trey Lance never really had a good season. And so, but Brady, for whatever reason, Brady was big on having this kid get drafted by the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be interested to see if he turned out into anything, or if he just keeps up the North Dakota State tradition of honestly becoming a bust.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Bowers is going to be the only fantasy relevant piece in the Raiders offense? Or do you think with Smith coming there, they can have 2 or 3, including Genty and Beck or Myers, whoever the wide receiver one is?
I mean, Geno was able to support DK to some extent and JSN. And, Geno finally had his breakout, I guess, last year. So I think, Bowers will eat. I think Janty will get his. I just think JD is just too good of a player.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on Beck. I actually got him in my rookie draft at the 209. I picked him up, or 206, whatever I had. I actually grabbed him just because, it was kind of like Ladd McConkey last year, You just can't.
Very Ladd McConkey, yes. Production. Yeah, he reminds me so much, and me and my brother-in-law did our Dynasty rookie draft, and I was able to get him. I had to move up to 2-7 to be able to get him, but I agree with you. He reminds me so much of McConkey, like a really good route runner, kind of underrated athlete who, he's not a sexy pick in the second round, but he's going to, get better over the season. He's definitely going to get better over the season.
Yeah, I think he would, and that's kind of they say rookie receivers, really rookie running backs, and maybe it's all rookies. But they say that usually it's after the bye week, kind of that second half of the season, week 6, week 7, week 8, you'll start to see rookies start to break out because they obviously had the mini camp, they had their OTAs, they had the preseason. And then they've slowly eased into game reps, and then finally had by the time the bye week rolls around, they're experienced enough where they can really get in. They know the system well enough to get in and produce. You've got some rookies that are just going to be thrown to the fire, like Cam Ward. Cam Ward, Janty, both those guys will actually get thrown to the fire, but they're good enough to do that, where they can come in I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a slow start for either of them. Well, maybe for Ward because the Titans are just terrible. Outside of that, I think Cam Ward's still a good player. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me pick your brain here on a other player who's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Brock Bowers in a dynasty draft like this. Where do you think he's going to go?
I mean, Brock Bowers, Dynasty Titan 1. Obviously, my Dynasty League last year, the team that had him won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 is a little early for Brock Bowers. In my mind, that's the equivalent of how people used to take Kelsey in the top 10 in redraft. And I just think you can get, especially with some other tight ends coming in. And I'm not going to give away all my sleepers and secrets to one of my guys. But I mean, you got some other tight ends I think that can give you the level of close enough to the level of production. Maybe not be Brock Bowers, but they can get up there. And Trey McBride last year. I read the numbers yesterday. Trey McBride had I don't know 100 catches for however many yards and like 2 touchdowns. And one of those 2 touchdowns he caught in like week 17. So I think you're going to see. They say a lot of these players that are really touchdown dependent. They'll say the next year they'll have a TD regression. I think you're going to see the opposite with a guy like McBride, where McBride, he's still a top option in the offense for the Cardinals, and he's going to come in. And I think he's going to catch the ball in the end zone. So I don't know. If I had those top 3 picks or whatever, or if Bowers told me at 4, in my opinion, I just think there's more value with like Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra. There's just more value there. I think you can go find that value. You can find somebody that can give you what Bowers can do, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think the other thing about Bowers is people forget Laporta was in the exact same position the year before, with being very early in the first dynasty, and he kind of hit a cliff a little bit because you saw Jameson Williams pick up production in that Detroit offense. You saw Gibbs pick up some of the workload. Do you think that could also happen to Bowers in this Vegas offense when you have a little bit more talent coming in with Beck and Genty? They could absorb some of that workload because he's a great player, but he was also getting a good volume. And Neighbors is the other example of this, where they didn't add as much to the Giants offense, and he's going to get a good amount of volume this year again. But are you going to have that with Bowers? And you could see regression.
To some extent, I think yes. I mean, obviously Bowers upgraded. So he had last year he had Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, if I remember correctly, kind of alternating. Obviously you upgraded quarterback, but you added weapons. You added JT. You still have Jacoby. I think Bowers will still be a safety blanket, and if you believe in Brock Bowers, by all means draft him. Just me personally, I'm just looking elsewhere for my tight end needs, and for me personally, one thing I will do a lot is I'll punt tight end, and especially in redraft, I've done that before, to where I'm taking a shot in the 7th, 8th, 9th.
Jamar over Justin Jefferson. Do you agree with that, or is that you think that's more basic? Jamar. I know earlier you said Jamar is your guy at 101.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing you got to think about too, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were on fire last year.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they've I don't know how much the line got better, if they got any better. I think it did a little bit. But the thing about Justin Jefferson is he has a new quarterback. JJ McCarthy's coming off of injury. I personally was not a believer in JJ McCarthy, but I come around. I think Jefferson's a solid pick for you at the 1 and 2. I just there's a little bit more, I guess, bigger question mark trying to Justin Jefferson, at least right off the gate, than there is Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Now, for Dynasty, it may even out. Once McCarthy gets rolling, you may see that Jefferson overtakes Chase again for Dynasty 1.
Mm-hmm.
I just think right now, coming off the McCarthy injury, it's just hard to tell.
Yeah, also we are not doing Superflex. That was something that the league, I think I mentioned earlier, was talking about, and it never got enough votes to pass, at least for the first year in the startup part of this draft. Maybe people want to change that after they see their teams and how things go. So, like, do you think if it was Superflex, it would have changed, like, the calculation in the first round for you, Will? Like, if you're 1-1, 1-2, I know, like, Andy just sent me text saying, like, he would have reconsidered Jamar Chase if it was Superflex.
Yeah, it definitely would have. So most likely what the rankings would have looked like, it would have been probably Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Then maybe you have Jamar Chase step in there. You have probably in the first 2 rounds, you probably have your top 10 quarterbacks go. And I personally prefer playing in Superflex. That's just my opinion. I just think it just adds an extra layer of strategy to it. Now for newer Dynasty players, it can be pretty daunting because you have to take your shot on the star quarterback early. But then you have to decide, do I want to follow it up and get another quarterback right off the rip, or do I want to punt that position and go try to get a Baker or a Jared Goff and just go, I may not get the same production I'll get if I had, Josh Allen and Jay Daniels, but I'll still get a good portion of that back with someone like Baker or Jared Goff.
Yeah. So, like, with this Dynasty non-Superflex, where are you feeling with, like, Josh Allen, Jane Daniels, like, where they should go? Like, we just see Josh Allen go at 1-3. Like, I feel like that's a great, because you don't have to worry now, and you're gonna get still good value at 2-8, right?
Yeah, and I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Like, Josh Allen is my captain of my Superflex Dynasty League. But again, without this being Superflex, I feel comfortable. I'll say this now. I may disagree at the end of the season if I don't win.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable punting the quarterback position a little bit, just me personally. And I think because of age, I don't want to say this earlier because I want to take Malik Neighbors. I think because of age, you could make an argument that Malik Neighbors is Dynasty receiver 2, if not 1. I think he could overtake Jamar Chase in a year or 2.
Yeah, but do you trust that I'm a big organization matters a lot in fantasy because of, like, the level of confidence you can have in them, like, not only investing in these players and training them up, but also giving them the conditions to succeed, especially long term. I love the talent there with Neighbors. I just don't know if I can trust the Giants to find a quarterback to save our lives. Like, really, and an O-line to hold up so they can have those deep crossers, those deep fades. Like, do you feel like they can find, like, is Dart the answer? Is he going to help elevate Neighbors up to that 101 level wide receiver?
I hope so. I have him in 2 weeks, so I certainly hope so. But no, but I mean, I think here's the thing: if I don't think Russell Wilson actually is the answer. I don't think Russell Wilson. Stand by.
Yeah. So I feel to kind of continue where he was going there, like, Russell Wilson, I don't think the level of fantasy production the Steelers had with their wide receivers was fantastic outside of those 2 games. When Wilson came in, I think it was like week 7 or week 8. So the question is like, if he starts and Dart doesn't, like, how long can he keep up, like, making Neighbors fantasy relevant? Now, over Neighbors' career, I think that's less of a worry because, like, eventually he's going to continue being the centerpiece of that Giants offense. So I feel like, yeah.
So sorry about that. Screaming children. Yeah, so I don't think Russell's going to be the answer. Obviously, like I said, like I was saying, Jameis Winston. I was actually excited when they signed Jameis because Jameis Winston was just great for fantasy because he just absolutely just throws it. I mean, to his team, to the other team, to everybody. But I think if the Giants got it wrong with Dart, I think the GM will be gone.
Yeah.
And Dable's gone this year. So you're gonna have a whole new regime coming in.
Yeah.
Hopefully a better coaching staff, and I think they're gonna have potentially a new quarterback. You know, and if the Giants, if things are just really that bad, they are able to get a guy like Lenoris, or you know, you maybe Arch Manning. I'm still not sure. I'm still not 100% positive Arch is going to declare this year. But there's that chance. You could get Arch. You could get Norris, you know.
Yeah, I feel like there wouldn't be much of reason for Arch not to declare because I feel like a lot can happen in a year, especially in college football, but I feel like he's going to be the 101, or he's going to be the first overall pick unless things go, like, badly, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing about Arch Manning too, you may see Arch Manning go to someone like the Giants only because Eli played there. I don't know if he's going to be one of these guys that wants to play where his family's had history, right? Where Eli won a Super Bowl, or where Peyton, if he goes to the Colts, if Anthony Richardson doesn't work out, or well, I get them right, Bo Nix, so you won't. And Bo Nix is an absolute dog, so you won't see him go there. But you know what I mean? Go somewhere where he had a chance to kind of follow the Manning legacy and go win a Super Bowl, whereas where Peyton or Eli wins.
Yeah, what do you take of Connor Lamb going at 1-5? That's definitely he's in a weird situation with that Dallas offense kind of being a little in purgatory in the last 2 years. Especially with his QB being consistently hurt.
Yeah, Dak is definitely getting up there in age. Not this past season, but the season before, Dak and CD, they had a really good connection. CD finished as wide receiver 1. CD went to the 101, I believe, or 101 and 102. Last year at a lot of drafts. He's also getting up there in age. I think I want to see CD Lamb is 24, 25.
Yeah.
And so, he's getting up there. He's kind of in the same boat, I think, as Jamar Chase. He has a chance to take over that dynasty one spot, but his age definitely. I don't know. I'm not the biggest CD Lamb fan personally. I just think it's too up and down.
Do you think he's someone who primarily feasts off of like having a lot of just concentration on him target share wise?
Yeah, I mean, and Dallas really hasn't had. Well, they had Jalen Tolbert.
That's not much competition there.
No.
Wide receiver
Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
Again, up and down. They just got George Pickens, so it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm not a big George Pickens fan either, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But CD Lamb's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I just he's someone I'm not too big on taking. I just think there's better options out there for me, in my opinion, personally. But again, if CD Lamb's your guy, go get your guys.
Yeah, I think me and you will agree a lot on this podcast. We're about like, if you like someone and you have a gut feeling about them, take them, right? Like, this happens in the NFL draft all the time. People say a team reaches on someone, but like for example, if the Rams would have taken Puka in the second, everyone would have called that a reach during the
Yeah,
draft. But he's a first round talent guy. And I
right.
feel like that's going to be something in fantasy drafts. If you like someone and you think he has talent, uh, Josh Downs is someone that I think of when I think of someone I really like. Then, like, if you like him, go out and get him.
Mhm.
It, Bowers, like when you see someone and you feel like Chase Brown is the other one, like guys that I really, really liked, go out and get them. And, whether everyone else thinks they're reach or not, like take your shot. And if you miss, then, you got to be smart about rebuilding in Dynasty. But, especially in the initial startup draft, go for the guys you like.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Because you're going to want those guys, down the line. I mean, because this isn't, on redraft, you may miss on your guy, be like, well, I can get him next year. Well, Dynasty, unless you trade for him, you're not going to get him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like you have to do a lot of homework, especially in redrafts when it comes to like draft class strengths. Like this draft class, very strong at running back. So like when you're having rookie drafts, that's something you could actively try to lean into is how strong this rookie class was with running backs and take some, let's say, calculated risk. And I feel like that's where you win your leagues or not when it comes to Dynasty, is making those calculated risks, trading away assets at the right time, and getting people to make a championship push.
Mhm.
Right? Now, it kind of depends how your roster is constructed, and your initial draft is very big on that. And sometimes you have stuff fall in your lap you don't expect. Like, uh, Big Daddy here, like he has some interesting choices to go off of. Like he has Bowers at 1-6 he could build off of, but he could be the first one to take a running back, and I feel like that's a very big deal to get a starting very young running back, Gibbs or Bijan. And I don't feel like 1-6 is a bad spot to take either of those two guys, or go QB, Jane Daniels, and be set for QB for the rest of the draft, especially in a one QB league until
Yeah,
later.
Jay Daniels is interesting to me because, I mean, obviously he's up there right now. He proved himself as a top
Mm-hmm.
5 option, and he's a second-year player. So they have more weapons. Second-year player.
Improved his O line.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely interesting. I think if it was me, I would probably go Gibbs or John just to get that the initial rookie sorry, not rookie, but that initial talent, because once you get really there, I think there's a tier break after Saquon at 17. I'm looking at him right now. Maybe not much of one, because I mean you still got like Bucky Irving down there, Brees Hall, American Hampton, Devon Achane. But there's still, in my opinion, there's still a little bit of a tier break after Saquon, I think.
Yeah, like it's going to be interesting because right now we're using the sleeper ADP. Like Bowers is 3 and he's still on the board at 6, and same thing with Bijan at 4 on 6.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting where they go with this. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else to add? Because this is a slow draft. We're not expecting to get through this in this video. We just want to do the pick order, go over some of the initial, and then me and you will get together next few weeks and we'll actually do a kind of review of everyone's teams and talk about a few different leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just I think, when people talk about slow draft, like, oh man, it's a slow draft. It actually goes pretty quick. If you like, in the past we've gotten through, we got everybody on, and we're able to kind of cruise through a couple rounds. So if you just do a couple rounds at a time, you really have it goes by rather quick, you know. So, but I'm excited to kind of see how the rest of this draft kind of plays off. Really, I'm worried to see who's going to kind of come back around at the. So I'll be
Yep.
I'll be the 218 is what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see kind of who's going to be down around there, and I'm gonna have some real hard choices to make. Just looking at the tier breaks here. And again, I want to go young, so
Mm-hmm.
that could hurt me this initial season. But if I get it right, which I've been wrong a lot, so if I get it right, you know, I'll be set for a while. But that's a big if, you know.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. Last year I did dynasty draft. I went super young, and I lost the first 4 out of 5 games because of that. But once my guys got hot, I really had a good resurgent second half of the season. I made it into the playoffs, and I think I was within a 5 or 6 point loss in the first round.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely one of those things. Old, young, it's interesting to see directions people are going to go. But we first off want to thank everyone for jumping on, watching, and we look forward to breaking down this kind of draft class and talking more fantasy in future videos. So please subscribe, like, and comment down below who you would have preferred to pick and where you guys would also like to pick. So see you guys later.